wine industry is very different in the way it is constantly moving product back and forth from the producer to the distributor to the client, back to the distributor, back to another client, and on, because these wines aren't bought and sold and drunk right away, but fine wines at least are stored and moved for years and decades. And that, I think, is quite special to the wine industry.
I think it depends. So Gilles has a very different business from me. So I buy a lot of wine from secondary market sources as well as primary sources, and I think it's not like selling, I don't know, plumbing supplies or whatever, where you're going to be buying the same thing for pretty much the same price every time. Whereas, let's just say, take magnums of 2008 Cristal, we've sold well over 250, and I think I've probably paid 200 different prices, because you buy them you don't buy 200 all at once, you buy 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, and every price is different. And a lot of accounting systems hate that with a passion. They really, I can see that. Luke knows exactly what I'm talking about, and they don't like that, the idea that you might buy something now, but then you might sell something that you bought 2 months ago, and they hate it. They either want you to have first in, first out, average cost, or last in, first out. Anything in between just causes massive ructions. And then I think the other aspect of why it's so unique is the fact that the wine is fragile, and breakages happen more often than we would like, primarily because lots of stuff is being moved around, and customers want to return things in weird and wonderful ways, but you want to split cases and all sorts of stuff, and it's not conventional in really any other industry that I can think about. You don't go to B&Q and say, oh well, you've got a pack of 4 of these things up, I just want to buy one, and B&Q don't go, well, that's fine, we'll just take one out of the packet and leave the other 3 on the shelf. But that happens all the time in the wine industry, and until the hub, there was no custom written piece of software, really. There was no industry specific piece of software.
I think from our perspective, particularly when we were shopping around for different bits of software, it became very apparent that I think the nuanced details in the wine industry, in terms of how you go about moving wine, how the charges, some of the very strange ways in which you might need to return wine or swap wine, none of the other platforms that we were looking at really had any sort of idea of how to handle that. And I think the small nuances made a huge difference to how we operate as a business. And when we're moving a single bottle, the amount of work that goes into that in terms of the details of the cap, or the details of the punt, or any other sort of photographs that we might need, all of that information is crucial in terms of recording into a piece of software or anything like that. And I think it's very small details, but there's lots of different nuances that add up in the wine industry that make it very specific to moving wine around and selling wine. And from my perspective, coming into the industry, there's a huge amount to understand and learn about just basics, but also some of the very fine details that go into it.